Hello, welcome to a brand new episode of Dylan Knows. Was 5 seconds of me drinking. How are you doing? This is a brand new episode of Dylan Knows, episode 474. It ain't cool being no jive turkey so close to Thanksgiving. That's a line from Trading Places that I figure is appropriate since it's kind of Thanksgiving weekend, but it's not because Thanksgiving's on a Thursday, and technically you call Thanksgiving weekend the weekend after Thanksgiving, but this is the weekend before Thanksgiving. Hence the shirt. I wore this for when I recorded my Conversations with Myself Chapter 2 episode earlier today, but I figured I didn't want to change out of it because I wanted to give a Thanksgiving sort of theme. I didn't want to wear my other two Thanksgiving shirts, and I'm going to wear those next week when I go to work for my 3-day work week, and then I got 4 days off, so it should be good. Looking forward to those 4 days off. Looking forward to food and football and a potential winter storm rolling through here and dropping some snow on us. Not as bad as the storm that hit Buffalo, which we'll talk about in today's episode. Also, going to give you my take on Black Panther 2. Talk about a lot of anniversary stuff because a lot of movies and stuff that I'm partial to tend to come out the week before Thanksgiving, and that makes a lot of sense because you'll get a bunch of movies that come out the day before Thanksgiving because it's a way to get them out on Wednesday, and you know that family and stuff like that are going to be together, so going to need to have stuff to do for the 4 days that they're going to all be together most likely. So they usually release a new Disney film, which they're doing this year, and some others as well. But usually other films, particularly like Harry Potter and Twilight and stuff like that, they tend to, and James Bond tend to post it the week before. That way they can get the weekend before numbers, before these other big movies come out on Wednesday, and then get people to come get stuff, because some people do have the whole week off. My wife has this whole week off. So get the people to come see these movies, and then keep them out and about during Thanksgiving weekend also. So if these popular movies get full, they can go back to these other films that have been out for a week already, and people who've wanted to see it have already blown through. So it'll be easier to see these types of films a week later than the ones that are brand new this week. So it makes a lot of sense about that. Going to talk about some personal stuff that I've been trying to keep my personal stuff out of this, but I realized that Conversations with Myself is going to be kind of hard to work on since football is still ongoing. I was lucky the last couple weeks because the Ravens weren't playing on Sunday, so I could do a couple I was supposed to do on last Sunday, but the weekend got away from me, and we saw Black Panther 2 and on that Sunday, so I didn't want to do this show and then jump right into Black Panther 2. Plus, it takes me a while to get up and going on the weekend, so I get up about 9:30, and then I get on social media and play some Fortnite, and before I know it, it's 2 o'clock in the afternoon. I was like, holy God, where'd time go? That's why I still haven't cleared up my Halloween stuff yet, and the fact that Thanksgiving is right around the corner. But that's all right. And so we got a lot of anniversary stuff. We got a lot of interesting casting news like we did last week. We got some interesting food stuff coming out, some new stuff from Mountain Dew. Well, not new stuff, but an interesting announcement from Mountain Dew. And, some other interesting things as well. Some video games stuff, trailers, I said anniversaries and all kinds of cool stuff. So let's get on with it, shall we? I am going to drink a little bit of this. So let's hit this personal bit real quick. So just get that out of the way and move on to the regular stuff. My wife and daughter were going camping this weekend with Scouts. They left on Friday, which was really cold. We got actually snow flurries up here in Reisterstown, and it was really, really cold. And they were actually going to southern Pennsylvania, where it was a lot colder. I think they said that it was 17 degrees when they got up there. Had to set up their campsite, and then they got themselves nice and warm and set up, but it was freezing cold when they got up and had to make their breakfast in the cold, and a lot of stuff was frozen. And then they went on a hike up a mountain, which was really hard for them. And they came back and then decided, you know what, let's just get the hell out of Dodge, because it's going to be a lot worse Saturday night into Sunday, which it is. It is presently 30 degrees right now. The temperature is going to continue to drop here, but up there it was going to probably be in the low teens. So the fact of the matter is it's going to be in the 20s by the time we get to early morning later today. And then the high is not going to get above about 34 today. So it's going to be a brutally cold on Sunday. And then things are going to normalize out next week. And then, as I said, right now, potential for a winter storm to roll through on Black Friday. We'll see if that comes to fruition or not. And if so, is it going to be bad or good or indifferent or whatever? I don't know. So they decided that we're not sticking around. So they made their dinner, they ate their dinner, and they broke camp, and then they got the hell out of Dodge. So my wife and daughter are back home safe in the house. They got back about, I guess, 8:45-ish, 9 o'clock-ish. And they were presently exhausted as expected and climbing a mountain and being in the cold. So I cranked up the house temperature here to 72 degrees. So the heater just turned off. It's cranked it up to 72. And my wife is probably covered in her sheets and blankets and asleep right now. My daughter's probably covered her sheets and blanket asleep right now to get nice and warm. So that's really nice for that. So I'm glad that they're home because it was going to be brutal here. And just think of it as being about a 10-degree difference, actually more like a 20-degree difference probably, and probably like 7 degrees up where they were supposed to be. So I'm glad that they got out of there. My mother, if you watched Conversations with Myself, Chapter 1, you discover that my mother has a cancerous tumor, but it's only in that tumor. It hasn't spread to any other part of her body. So she is going to undergo some chemotherapy to begin with to shrink down the size of the tumor. It's on her breast. So she's breast cancer. And then she will get it removed, and then she'll have more chemo, the radiation kind, after the removal of the tumor. So by this time next year, she will be hopefully, if all goes according to plan, cancer-free and not have to worry about that anymore and get through it. So it's going to be a hard year for everybody involved, but I talked about that in Conversation with Myself. So I just want to let everyone know that her chemo has been set for December 5th, which is my niece's birthday, which is Krampusnacht. And that's also a friend from work's birthday as well. So that's a Monday. So my sister is going to take her and do all that stuff. My mom went and saw all the stuff. They said it looks really, really cool. Yesterday, Friday the 18th, was also the release date for the brand new Pokemon Gen 9, Pokemon Scarlet and Violet. And I have it on pre-order. I haven't got it. Maybe I'll get it probably Monday. I'll probably hit it after work. I'll probably pick it up then. Those are Christmas presents for my wife and son. But my friend Shockdoor, who I've talked about on the show numerous times, who has a video game stream. He does Minecraft mostly, but he's never played a Pokemon game before. So I figured this is a big deal. So he streamed. He bought Pokemon Violet, so he streamed his first experience with Pokemon Violet. So I got to see some of the new Pokemon. Turned out there's a Flamingo. Yeah, Flamingo Pokemon now. So that's pretty cool. It's a flying fighting type. So that's really wild. So I was happy to see that. So I'm glad that Shock Tour was able to show that a little bit and got to see some of that. The new Diglett, the new Wooper, some Psyducks, all kinds of neat stuff. So it was a fun stream last night. Hopefully he's feeling better. He's been a little under the weather, so hopefully he'll be okay and get back to streaming soon. Real quick, Black Panther 2 review. I'm just going to give you the quick rundown. I plan on doing, since Black Panther 4 was the end of Gen 4 technically, or Phase 4, I should say. Guardians of the Galaxy Christmas Special comes out on Friday, which is kind of like the epilogue for Phase 4. So I might wait till that comes out. So what I plan on doing, maybe next weekend for next weekend's Conversations with Myself, and I don't know how I'm going to do it, if I'm going to break it down into phases or if I'm just going to do them all at one time or whatever and talk about them. Maybe do 2 phases and then another episode. But I want to break down every Marvel movie, rank it, and talk about it, and Marvel TV show also. So I haven't decided if I'm going to just throw everything together and make it as one all big one list and then just go down it. And so what I can do then, if I do that, I can just do one episode of Conversation with Myself where I cover the bottom like 40 down to like 20 or something like that, and then do 20 to 1 and just do a little bit of a talk about each of them, about why it's where it is on this list and my initial looks at it and little quick little reviews and stuff like that. So I'm just going to something similar to this. Black Panther 2 is okay. Not outstanding, not terrible. It's sort of in that mid-range, and that's where it's going to end up on my list, is somewhere in the mid-range. Yes, it is a appropriate movie to end Phase 4, since Phase 4 is all about grief. After what happened in Endgame and the end of Phase 3 is about grief and recovering from grief. And with the fact that Chadwick Boseman passed away, that's unfortunately how it all worked out. And we get a new villain in Namor, who I liked for most of the movie, but he sort of went off the rails a little bit near the end. Now, I know Namor's always been sort of kind of a weird sort of character where he's extraordinarily arrogant and he's an ass and a dick, and they convey that really well in this movie. But he also has a noble side to him, which they kind of convey a little bit in here, because he's doing what he does to protect his people. It sounds a lot like Doctor Doom, what he does. He protects his people, but in order to protect his people, he won't mind taking over the world, that sort of thing. And I guess Submariner Namor sort of had that sort of appeal for early on, but he's become sort of a hero-ish kind of a little bit. He is part of the Illuminati, which if you don't want to have someone like that who's like pure evil on your Illuminati. So I don't know. It's hard to say. It was okay. What I didn't like about it was the fact that it turns out that Namor's country is not Atlantis. It is connected to the Aztecs. Is just as powerful as Wakanda is, and I just got the gist that Wakanda never stood a chance against them because they always got beat down. And you could make the case that when they were fighting, you could make the case that they were still suffering and reeling from the loss of their king. And spoiler alert, their queen also dies. Angela Bassett, the queen mom, ends up dying as well in this one, killed by Namor when he floods Wakanda to get back at everybody. And that's why they're a little weak. But they went toe-to-toe with aliens in Infinity War and in Endgame for the most part as well. And in Black Panther itself, they seem to be, really in control of what they were doing around the country as well. So I don't know. That's one of the reasons why I didn't really like it too much. But another spoiler alert, Shuri is the new Black Panther, which is Black Panther's sister. She is more of a Killmonger feel because she lost her brother, and she felt, she's going through something because the first scene of the film has her trying to synthesize an antidote to the disease that's racking his system. And she comes up with one that has like a 28%, 38% chance of working, but she doesn't care. She wants to try it. And by the time she gets it synthesized, her mom, played by Angela Bassett, tells her that he's dead, and the morning due. So she feels that she failed her brother not being able to help him. So she's, kind of off kilter about that. And then they meet Namor, who we discover that his Aztec people, they also run on vibranium, because there is another vibranium asteroid that crashed in the ocean that nobody knew about, because Namor was doing such a good job of hiding it and protecting it. But someone has created a vibranium tracking device, and they discovered where the meteorite was. So they tried to steal the vibranium, because other countries want vibranium because they want to make the weapons and take over, and be stronger and defeat their enemies and stuff like that, which is the opposite of what Wakanda wants to do. And so Namor is able to destroy the group that's trying to get the vibranium, but they want, for some reason, he wants to keep his people hidden, I guess. And I guess he feels that because vibranium is so well known in Wakanda, that he goes and orders the Queen and Shuri to find the scientist who created the device, bring the scientist to him, and he will kill the scientist, so that no one can rebuild the device to find vibranium so that he can live quietly to keep his people safe who live under the water. But there's a lot of parallels to Wakanda with his country as well. We find out that the scientist who created the vibranium is one Riri Williams, who will be getting her own Disney Plus show next year called Ironheart, because she built her own Iron Man suit of armor. She goes to MIT. She's now a 19-year-old instead of like a 12 or 13-year-old like she is in the comics. She's a 19-year-old, goes to MIT, and hugely smart. She built this device as a school project, and I guess apparently sold it to somebody for money. I guess I thought that someone had taken it from her. But then I read somewhere that she actually sold it. So I have to rewatch the movie, I think, just to find out for sure what that story is. So when they discover that it's a 19-year-old girl, they don't want her to get killed. And it was an accident, so on and so forth. So, but unfortunately, after Shuri and Denai, who is, I forget her character's name, who was on Walking Dead and plays the leader of the Darmanage or whatever the all-woman warrior group is. Namor comes and his people come and they kidnap Riri and Shuri, and Denai gets stripped of her ranking and stuff like that by the Queen, who's furious because she lost her son and now she might lose her daughter and stuff like that. But we find out that Shuri was doing it to be sort of a liaison with them to find out if there's some way they can satisfy this peacefully without having to kill this 19-year-old. But Namor instead throws, why don't we become an alliance? We can use our vibranium weapons to take over the world so they don't bother our people, because they will come for our vibranium. And that's the whole thing. We got to protect that so that it doesn't fall into the wrong hands, blah, 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 stuff like that. And of course, Shuri's on the fence about that because she doesn't know. But then after she escapes, again, I can't remember Lupita Nyong'o's character. I can't remember what her character's name is. She was Black Panther's girlfriend, comes to save the day and is able to rescue both Riri and Shuri. And she kills one of the captors, so that pisses Namor off. So then he attacks Wakanda by flooding it. That kills a bunch of people. And then he also kills the Queen. And he says, all right, bury your dead, and then let's talk and join this alliance, sort of thing. And so they move the remnants of Wakanda up to Mbuku's mountaintop thing, where he becomes sort of the de facto ruler, as Shuri tries to come up with a way to create the Black Panther flower that Killmonger destroyed in the first film. And she uses a specific flower in something that Namor gave her to be able to synthesize a new organic Black Panther flower, and grows one and takes it and gets the power of Black Panther imbued to her, and ends up taking Killmonger's old armor and goes after Namor. And then there's another big battle and stuff like that. And so there's a whole lot of stuff there. And then just sort of comes down to a final battle between Shuri and Namor, and it's on dry land. And they discover that one of Namor's weaknesses is if he can't get water back on him, he gets weaker eventually. He can go on land, but he needs to refresh himself in water to keep his strength up. But if you keep him on land, he will weaken. And so Shuri's able to feed him that way. And then they come up with a plan to have a truce, and they work everything out. And it's a little off. It just seemed a little bit. Julie Louis-Dreyfus's Val comes in to the picture, so she's hanging around. Also, find out that she is the ex-wife of Martin Freeman's FBI guy who was in the first one as well, and in Civil War. And we also get a mid-credit sequence where we discover that Black Panther's girlfriend has a child with T'Challa, and T'Challa knew about it, and he didn't want the child to be raised in Wakanda with the fact that he would be the prince and would be the next ruler of Wakanda, and he just wants him to live a regular life. And then the snap happened, I guess, and then when he came back, he got this illness, and so he was able to pass on what he needed to, but to keep them safe. Apparently, the queen did meet her grandchild before she passed away, so all that's still going on. The child's name has like a Haitian name because that's where Lupita's character is hanging out now. But his real name is T'Challa, Prince of Wakanda, named after T'Challa himself, which is a great tribute to Chadwick, but also opens up the thing that, in 10 years' time, 12 years time, if they want to do a like reboot Black Panther or whatever, after Shuri's been Black Panther for a while, you can have a T'Challa be Black Panther again, and that would be his son, and then you can do all the T'Challa stories that are in the comics and stuff like that. So it's an okay movie. I think I need to watch it at least one more time. It's not the type of movie that I would watch over and over again, but I think I need to watch it at least one more time just to get the general idea down, because when you first watch a movie, you just want to get the story and see everything. It doesn't give you a chance to really think about stuff and see connections and stuff like that. You just want to be entertained and see what's going on and see what the next story level is going. But when you see it a second or third time, that is when you get the more nuance and the other stuff about that. So, and plus, you're in your own confines. You can take your time, do whatever. And then you can have the closed captioning on so you can understand what some of the words are. Because I was having trouble understanding what some of the lines were. So we'll see what happens. But it was okay. Again, not my favorite. Not excellent and not awful. Just sort of in the middle there, which is, not a bad place to be. So still worth it to watch it. And that's just my take on things. Where will he show up in the list? Well, you got to find out when I get my list eventually together. The other big news story kind of that happened this week, it actually started, I think, like yesterday, and maybe even now it's on Sunday, maybe on Friday, was Buffalo, New York. We all know Buffalo, New York. It is a little town right not too far from the Canadian border. It also borders one of the Great Lakes. And Buffalo also gets really, really cold because it's really far northern New York, close to, as I said, the Canadian border, where it's really, really cold anyway. And they also have a lake. And they have a little thing called lake effect snowstorms. So Buffalo tends to be a well-hit town with lots of snow, usually because they get the storms that come off of the lake. They have lots of moisture and just dump a ton of stuff on the nearest thing right there, which happens to be Buffalo. But the last few years, there really hasn't been a massive snowstorm that has really ravaged Buffalo from what I haven't really read anything. They get snow, but there hasn't been like a massive snowstorm, not since, God, at least 10, 12 years ago. I remember a picture of someone, posted one where they dug out their driveway and the road out to the main road, and the snow was like 8 feet tall, because they'd scooped it up and stuff like that. But the road was clear now, so they could drive. Well, that changed, I guess, on Friday. I guess it was kind of Friday-ish, Saturday when it started. A massive lake effect snowstorm rolled off of the lake and hit Buffalo, dropped 77 inches of snow, which is about 6.5 feet of snow on Buffalo over this 2-3 day period. And Buffalo Bills, the football team, was supposed to have a home game against the Cleveland Browns. That wasn't going to happen, so they shifted it to the Detroit Lions stadium. And Buffalo had the team and the coaches had issues getting to Detroit, because they couldn't leave because the snow was still coming down, so no airplanes were leaving. And then eventually, once it lightened up, there was 6.5 feet of snow on the ground. And they were able to charter a plane to get out there to get to Cleveland in time for tomorrow's and now today's game. But Buffalo Mafia, Bills Mafia, the huge fan base, they knew, I guess, where some of the players and coaches lived, and they helped plow out their driveways and roads so that they can get to the airport. And the Bills team did get to the airport, and they are presently probably in Detroit right now, getting themselves ready for the game later today. Now, what's interesting about that is one of the cool things about Thanksgiving is you get 3 football games on Thanksgiving. The Lions play somebody at 12:30. The Cowboys play somebody about 4:30. And now they have the night game where it's any two teams. It changes every year. This year, the Detroit Lions will be hosting, you guessed it, the Buffalo Bills. So what the Bills are probably going to do is they're going to play their home game at Detroit Stadium tomorrow. Detroit is on the road. And then, since they only have a 3-day window before they play again on Thursday, they're just going to stay. Makes perfect sense. You stay in the hotel. You are already going to be there anyway, so you can probably just attach the hotel that you already set to stay at, add a few days to it, and the owner will pay it, obviously. And you just stay in Detroit, because you're going to play there in 3 days. So it would be stupid to play your game at Detroit, fly back, get into it's going to be getting cleared up, but it's still 6.5 feet of snow is still dumped on you, and then not really be able to practice because there's 6.5 feet of snow on your practice fields, and then fly back out to Detroit like on Tuesday or Wednesday to play on Thursday. So it just makes sense that, you go out to Detroit, you just extend your stay at your hotel. You play your game against the Browns, and the Browns go back to Cleveland, and then you just stay, and then you find a place to practice. There's universities around there you can practice at, or the Lions might be willing to share their practice facilities, stuff like that. And then you play each other on Thanksgiving. And then you come back home, because then you have a 10-day window before you play again, unless they have their bye. I'm not sure when their bye was. No, they've already had their bye, because Josh Allen was my quarterback in fantasy, and I had to take him out one day. So yeah, that's what's going on with that. So that's kind of interesting that's going on. But 77 inches of snow, unimaginable, and that might be a sign of what might be coming to our area. It's not going to be 77 inches, but this winter storm that's supposedly going to hit on Friday. Again, it's too early to tell what the damage is, but do we still have it? Yep. Well, now it's rain. 60%. Okay, so the temperature's going to be going up. So it's not going to probably be a snowstorm now. Probably going to be a rainstorm, because right now it's going to be 34 degrees today with a low of 25. It is presently 30 degrees out up here in Reisterstown. Monday, we have 45 degrees and 21 is a low. Oh, my God. Tuesday, sunny, 50 degrees and 28, which is more normal temperatures for November. Wednesday, 54 and 30 degrees. Thursday for Thanksgiving, be partly sunny, 54 and 32. That's not bad. Friday, 60% chance of rain, 52, 39. So it will be way above freezing. So we're not going to get any snow now. And then Saturday, Sunday, Monday, Tuesday of next week are all 46 degrees. Except Tuesday, which is 48 degrees, and lows in the 30s. So, it's going to be more temperate November weather coming up. This is just a weird freak cold snap that hit us right now. So now it looks like, maybe it won't be so bad with the temperature being 52 on Black Friday. So yeah, that's a rain event. So it might just be just a heavy rain coming up, but supposedly it's going to be a big storm. So Bradley Cooper has been signed to star in Steven Spielberg's next film, which is kind of a remake or a continuation of the Steve McQueen Bullet series. Bradley Cooper will be, of course, replacing Steve McQueen in that. I really want to see Steven Spielberg's Fabelmans, which is his sort of autobiography about his life film. So I kind of want to see that, but I don't know if I'm going to have time to. We'll see. If it's going to even be released in theaters. I thought it was supposed to be out this weekend or something like that, but it's not apparently. So we'll see. I do have one more day off in December, so we'll see if it's around then. I might see it then. Anya Taylor-Joy, who has been cast in Furiosa, which is the Mad Max prequel, playing the role of young Charlize Theron, apparently is not old enough or doesn't know how to drive or isn't allowed to drive because of her age, but she had to be a stunt driver for this movie, which she just wrapped up. So that's kind of interesting. Some sad news. Chris Hemsworth, apparently they discovered a potential for some Alzheimer's in him. So he's going to take a little breather from, I guess, acting to see what's going to happen with that. So we'll keep an eye on that in the future. Speaking of Furiosa, he's in that as well. The new trailer for Nicolas Cage is in a Western. And it looks like he's not doing a weird acting sort of job. This one looks like a more serious across the board Western called The Old Way. It is old school Western. It's a revenge film, but looks like he and his daughter are trying to get revenge for the death of his wife and her mother. And he looks good in a Western. It looks like a typical old Western. So that's pretty cool. Millie Gibson, who is an actress on the hit soap opera over in England, Coronation Street, has been announced as the new Doctor's companion when the new Doctor takes over after David Tennant's surprise reappearance. Once that all gets worked out, the new Doctor will have his new companion in Millie Gibson. I'm extraordinarily excited about this new wave of Doctor Who coming up. And I may just have to watch, since they're going to be on this, going to be on Disney Plus now. I may have to watch the Tenet films, not having missed most of the other Doctor Who stuff. I might just want to get back into it with this, the Tenet movies and then the new Doctor. So it won't be till next year at this time, but maybe actually that could give me enough time maybe to get caught up. But for now, I can't wait to see that. Should be really good. So she has been announced as his new companion. New trailer for Elemental, which is Pixar's summer movie coming out in mid-June, probably around my birthday, probably, of next year. This was mentioned a while back on the show when they first announced it. It is basically going to be focused on the element in a world where elements are walking around like humans. So it's basically like a, funny animal sort of movie where the animals are human and have human characteristics like this. In this case, it's the elements have those sort of characteristics as well. And a flame falls in love with a water elemental, and that's going to be your movie. So first trailer for that came out, first teaser. It was a teaser, just give a general idea of what the land is going to look like, a general idea of what the sort of the tone of the movie is going to be like, and it's flame getting onto a subway car and passes all these elements, like regular people, and then he has headphones on and same headphones as a water elemental, and hers fall off, and he reaches down to try to help her with it, and the water drops on his fire and burn and puts it out and hurts him, and then they look into each other's eyes and they fall in love. So we'll see. That could be kind of interesting as well. Bruce Campbell has joined the ranks of a Hallmark Christmas movie actor. His new movie, My Southern Family Christmas, for the Hallmark Channel Christmas, is debuting on Thanksgiving. So Bruce Campbell is the headline draw for this year's Hallmark Christmas movie. So good on you, Bruce Campbell, doing a Hallmark Christmas movie. So My Southern Family Christmas. Very cool. Snoopy and the gang from Charlie Brown are going to tell the history of NASA in a new stage show, which is kind of a weird, why are they doing it and not someone else? But okay, we'll go with that. So that should be interesting to see that. Today was College Football Saturday. We are now NFL Sunday since it is 12:24 a.m. on the 20th of November, which happens to be my sister and brother-in-law's 29th wedding anniversary. So happy anniversary to you. My nephew's 25th birthday was on Friday. So maybe I'll leave them a text after I finish up my show here. But Saturday was College Football Saturday. And apparently the University of Pittsburgh decided they were going to play a game in Pittsburgh's new stadium. Well, not new stadium, it's their old stadium, which was Heinz Field, but now it's some weird, stupid name now that everybody hates. But they were playing the college football game today, and a massive flock of pigeons had delayed the game a little bit as they invaded the field as they were getting ready to play. So they had to shoot them off and get them out there. So it's kind of funny. Apparently it's happened a couple times, because I think when I saw the story on my page, it was like a huge flock of pigeons hit whatever field again, that sort of thing. So it's kind of interesting. May as well do this now because we got a lot. It's going to take a good portion. Let's see, 35 minutes in. So we'll start rolling now. Anniversaries. And I know I always do these, but I just like to give a general idea of like the movies that I like and celebrate, because there were, I always like to say if it's a 20th or 35th or 50th anniversary, it's always nice to talk about that and give it credit. But this, as I talked about earlier in the show, this weekend, the 18th, 19th, whatever, is 17th through like the 19th or 20th, is the time when a lot of it would be the 20th because they're not going to show those until today, but like the 16th to the 19th. The majority of those movies are ones they're going to be big movies for the fall, but they don't want to go up against the ones that are coming out the day before Thanksgiving. As I said before, they want to get as much as the fans to come out and see it the first weekend. And then when the new movies come out a few days later on that Wednesday, everyone's going to want to go see those. And if they get full up, there might be movies that they wanted to see, these movies that came out the previous week but didn't get around to it because the cinema was so full. But now the cinema's not so full because everybody's seen it. So they can go in and see the movie and they can make more money out that way. That's about full. This was always the Harry Potter weekend. Harry Potter and the Sorcerer's Stone, the very first Harry Potter movie, came out this weekend 21 years ago. Harry Potter and the Chamber of Secrets came out this weekend 20 years ago. So Harry Potter and Chamber of Secrets is now 20 years old. Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire, which is the fourth one. Prisoner of Azkaban came out in the summer. Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire came out in 2005. So that makes it 2005, 2015, 2025 would be 20. So 3 years, 17 years. 17th anniversary of Goblet of Fire was this weekend. Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1 came out in 2010, which is 12 years ago this weekend. Again, the Order of the Phoenix and the Half-Blood Prince, I think, came out in the summer. Don't quote me on that. One of them did at least, and one might have showed up, like maybe it showed up today or tomorrow. But no. But Deathly Hallows Part 1, I know Deathly Hallows Part 2 came out in July, but Deathly Hallows Part 1 came out 12 years ago this weekend. And then Fantastic Beasts and Where to Find Them, the first of the Fantastic Beasts series, came out on this weekend 6 years ago. Now, I was shocked. I guess I should know this, but it's hard when you realize how short a year is. I did not realize that one of my new favorite movies, and on my list of comfort films, which I'll be doing also a list of those probably in my December, January conversation with myself. I'll do my comfort film, my new updated comfort films thing. This one is up at the top. Ghostbusters Afterlife came out a year ago this week. I think it was the 17th, a year ago this week. And I did not catch it when it hit theaters originally, but I watched it earlier this year. I was just during the summers, during the time where I took the few days off when my family was at Boy Scout camp. And the first film I watched, I think, was Ghostbusters Afterlife. And I absolutely love this movie. I love it so much. If you have not seen Ghostbusters Afterlife, you need to see it. It is now ensconced in my comfort food movies. It is ensconced in when I'm bored and I need to find a movie just to watch, just to kill some time. It's up there at the top along with The Martian, and The Dish, and a few others as well. But that just came out 1 year ago this week. National Treasure, another really good movie that I really, really liked a lot, which I had never seen when it originally came out. And funnily enough, the first time I ever saw it was when I was working at the Philadelphia Comic-Con. I still work at Diamond. And the majority of the movie takes place in Philadelphia and was filmed in Philadelphia. So it was kind of cool watching this movie in the location where it was filmed. That came out 18 years ago this week. Now, before I get back to the anniversary stuff, that just reminds me, There is a National Treasure TV show coming to Disney Plus. I've talked about it a few times. They did I think a teaser trailer for it a while back. Nicolas Cage is not in it. The guy who plays Riley is the only one from the series who's going to make an appearance. And Harvey Keitel is also, his character is going to appear in it as well. But we finally have a date when the National Treasure TV show is coming out. It's going to be December 14th. So that's another good show that is rolling out on Disney Plus this year. We have Willow coming out on the 30th. We've got Wednesday on Netflix, which is Disney Plus, coming out on Netflix on the 23rd. The Santa Clauses, which I was excited about, but then when I heard that Tim Allen, who is a far-right conservative, throws in a ad-lib line about how you can't even say Merry Christmas anymore. Santa Claus would never say that, you stupid fucking conservative dickwad. So that put me off about that. But December 14th, the National Treasure TV show makes its debut on Disney Plus. Justice League animated series, we just lost last week. Remember, we lost Kevin Conroy, the voice of Batman. The Justice League animated series was from the same creators of the Batman animated series and the Superman animated series, and brought those characters to the Justice League with the same voices. Kevin Conroy and Tim Daly was Superman's voice. And the Justice League is one of the best animated series out there. And I just dropped my pen. It is 21 years old, which means it came out when I was 28 years old. Wow. That's crazy. So there's that. Walk the Line, which is the Johnny Cash biopic with Joaquin Phoenix and Reese Witherspoon. I think Reese won the Oscar for that. I think Joaquin might have won it. Maybe not. I don't know. Came out 17 years ago this week. November 17th, 1953. So let's think about that. 53, 63, 73, 83, 93, 2003, 2013, 2023, 69, dude. 69 years ago. This week, November 17th, 1953. The St. Louis Browns baseball team officially became the Baltimore Orioles, my baseball team that I grew up with and still follow to this day and still play in Baltimore. Their first season was 1954 at Memorial Stadium, where I lived when I was 1 year old. I lived in the neighborhood around Memorial Stadium. My mom, dad, and sister lived there for at least a year or two before then, so that was kind of cool back when Memorial Stadium was insane. Addams Family Values came out in 1993, which makes that 29 years, right? 93, 2003, 2013, 2023. Yep, 29 years ago. So 29 years ago this week, Addams Family Values. I like the original Addams Family movie. And half of this movie is actually really good. I was not a big fan of the Fester Black Widow storyline because it got a little off kilter to me. Don't get me wrong. I think Joan Cusack was outstanding in the role. It just seemed a little off to me and a little outrageous. And it's hard to watch now knowing that Raul Julia was going to die very shortly after the making of this film. But the other half of the movie where the kids are at summer camp is outstanding. And has a Thanksgiving connection, is the play that is the first Thanksgiving that Peter McNichol's fantastic jerk off camp runner does, and is kind of racist a little bit. Wednesday totally destroys it, which is outstanding. So that's good. The first of a couple Bond movies, The World's Not Enough, which is Pierce Brosnan's not his debut, but one of his like his second or third Bond movie, came out in 1999. Another series that came out, Home Alone, one of my favorite movies, came out this week in 1990, 32 years ago. I didn't watch it until after Christmas, but there's a great documentary series on Netflix called The Movies That Made Us, and Home Alone was one of the ones that they cover, and it's really interesting to see the behind-the-scenes stuff about that. Home Alone 2 also came out 20 years ago. I'm sorry, no, 30 years ago. 30 years ago this week. So Home Alone 1 and 2 came out around the same time, much like the Harry Potter stuff. So good on that. Space Jam, the original one with Michael Jordan and Bugs Bunny, directed by Joe Dante, and Bill Murray's in it as well, came out 26 years ago this week. Leon the Professional with a very young Natalie Portman showed up 28 years ago this week. The Little Mermaid, the film that brought Disney back to the forefront of animation and sent them on a streak that really hasn't been topped in a while, debuted 33 years ago this week. My favorite Christmas movie, and one I watch every Christmas Eve, not on the 24-hour marathon, but my actual copy of it, A Christmas Story, came out 39 years ago this week. Go cover that real quick. I don't know where the story is in here, and when I get to it, I'll just check it off. But that Home Alone house, not the Home Alone, the Christmas Story house, which is now a museum for the movie, is now being sold. I guess they're going to keep it as a museum, but the owner of it cannot keep running it, so they want to sell to someone who will keep up the museum for the Christmas Story. And members of the cast have decided they want to pool their money and buy the house and keep it that way, so they will be a part. So we'll see if that works out for them. Good. It, the TV movie, the one with Tim Curry as Pennywise, came out in 1990, so that would have been 32 years ago. Same week as Home Alone did. Now, something about that is, no, I wasn't in college then. 90. I was still in high school, so I guess I watched The Stand or something, whatever like that. But the little thing, an interesting thing about it, another combination about that. Bill Skarsgård, who played Pennywise in the 2-part movie remake of it, that they gave it more of a hard R, more violence and stuff like that, is rumored to be reprising his role as Pennywise in the new TV series Welcome to Derry, which is going to be a prequel to the It stuff, and talk about Pennywise's rise and all the stuff that he did in the past before he was taken out by the Losers Club. But Bill Skarsgård is supposedly rumored to reprise his role as Pennywise in the TV show. So we'll see if that comes to fruition. It would make sense, and I think Bill probably wants to do it. He just finished the Crow movie, which is still astonishing to me that there is currently a Crow reboot in post-production right now. Never thought it would happen. Some music stuff, music and TV stuff, not movie stuff. U2, their album Achtung Baby came out in 1991 this week. The infamous WKRP in Cincinnati Thanksgiving episode where they throw a ton of turkeys out of a helicopter, and the classic line, "As God is my witness, I thought turkeys knew how to fly," as the turkeys plummeted to their death over the city of Cincinnati. The classic WKRP episode debuted 44 years ago this week. Life Day, the event that was focused on the Star Wars Christmas special, infamous Christmas special, came out in 1978, is now an official holiday that shows up on, I believe it's November 17th. So Life Day has come and gone for this year. So happy Life Day to everyone out there. Sleepy Hollow, one of my favorite Tim Burton movies, and a movie that I think more along the lines of Halloween, but it makes sense that it came out 23 years ago this week as well. I remember seeing it in the movie theater, so there's that. Casino Royale, which is the first James Bond film with, I just lost it, the most recent James Bond. Killing me, man. Daniel Craig. His Casino Royale, that he came out 16 years ago this week. So we have The World Is Not Enough, which was the Pierce Brosnan one, came out in 1999. This one came out 16 years ago. And then we go back to Pierce Brosnan. His first role as James Bond, GoldenEye, came out in 1995 this week as well. So again, like the Home Alones, like the Harry Potters, we have the James Bond movies also coming out around the same time every year as well. Salem's Lot, which was it was originally, I think, a TV series that Tobe Hooper did, or was a movie that I guess got turned to a series. I don't know the whole thing. It debuted this week at 1979. Jingle All the Way, Arnold Schwarzenegger's third comedy, is a Christmas comedy. Not a great movie, despite the cast: Rita Wilson, Sinbad, Phil Hartman, Arnold, of course. The premise is interesting, but again, it's just sort of like, it's not a Christmas movie that I like to revisit during Christmas. It takes a little bit of the sensibility of Home Alone, where it's about a dad played by Arnold Schwarzenegger who, kind of neglects his family, but he wants to give his son the greatest Christmas ever. And the only thing that he wants is a hugely popular action figure that is like the Cabbage Patch Kid of our time, or whatever the hugely popular Christmas toys are. There's always seems to be one that everybody wants it for their Christmas, for their kids for Christmas, because that's what they want. It's hugely popular, and there's never enough around. So, Xbox, I guess, the new Xbox that came out, I guess, a year or so ago, was a prime example of that, where everybody wanted it, but nobody could find it. So it was, whenever it came back, it was ultra rare, and people would, trying to do anything to get it. So this movie is basically about him thinking, oh, this will be easy. I'll be able to find the action figure. But he's so out of it that he doesn't realize it is the hottest Christmas toy of the year. And everybody wants this toy, and it's not anywhere around it. So like on Christmas Eve, he's trying to hunt for one, and he goes up against a mailman played by Sinbad, and they go from store to store trying to find it. And there's like all kinds of slapstick and crazy stuff and stuff like that. Hilarity ensues. Meanwhile, Phil Hartman plays a smarmy neighbor who's trying to seduce the wife of Arnold Schwarzenegger's character, played by Rita Wilson. So Spielberg delivered one of his greatest movies of all time 45 years ago this week in Close Encounters of the Third Kind. That's a movie I want to show my daughter. She hasn't seen it yet, and I really want to revisit it. It's been a while since I've seen it, but I like Close Encounters, and came out 45 years ago this week. Another song is, my favorite band is REM, and 35 years ago this week, they released their single, It's the End of the World as We Know It, and I Feel Fine, which is one of the hugely popular ones, one that when people hear it, they know it's REM right away, but it was released this week 35 years ago. So Little Mermaid came out 33 years ago, cemented Disney as a player again. And it had the Wonderful Beauty and the Beast come out after that, and the Wonderful Lion King came out after that. And then after that, there was a little movie called Aladdin, which came out this week 30 years ago. So Aladdin is 30 years old this week. Love Actually, which is considered to be a classic Christmas movie now, is only 19 years old, and it debuted this week 19 years ago. It's one of my sister's favorite Christmas movies, up there with Muppet Christmas Carol, but that came out 19 years ago this week. Not Muppet Christmas Carol, Love Actually. Santa Claus Conquers the Martians, which is a staple on MST3K, and our very own Snark Alec Lisa Marie Bowman always shows this the week of Christmas or Christmas Eve or whatever, and snarks about it. In 1964, that came out. So let's see, 64, 74, 84, 94, 2004, 2014, 2024 would be 60. Take two off, 60, 58 years ago. The Faculty, the Robert Rodriguez horror film, sort of Breakfast Club horror film with Elijah Wood, debuted 24 years ago this week. Porky's, the one of the other movies that ushered in the age of the sex romp comedy, came out 41 years ago this week. Kim Cattrall is still hot as shit in that movie, as she is in Police Academy and Mannequin. Speaking of hot chicks, I still Know What You Did Last Summer, the sequel to I Know What You Did Last Summer, that had two hugely hot chicks in it with Sarah Michelle Gellar and Jennifer Love Hewitt. This one has still the smoking hot Jennifer Love Hewitt, and the pretty smoking hot Brandy is in it as well, and the insanely attractive Freddie Prinze Jr. is in it also. So good on that. That came out in 1998. The Running Man, another another Stephen King thing, another Arnold Schwarzenegger movie, came out 35 years ago this week. And finally, Francis Ford Coppola's 1992 masterpiece, 30 years ago, Dracula, Francis Ford Coppola's Bram Stoker's Dracula. Keanu Reeves, Gary Oldman, Winona Ryder, Anthony Hopkins. I feel like I'm missing somebody. Came out. I have a personal relationship with this movie, as it was one of my college girlfriend's her favorite movie, and at the time, and our first date had us watching it, and her roommate was gone for the weekend, so I went up to her room. I had the video. We watched it on her TV amidst groping sessions and other things, but that's besides the point. So that's a nice memory. I have that. So that was 1992, 30 years ago this week. So that is this week's anniversary stuff. That was 20 minutes of anniversary stuff. So, boy. And I still got a lot to go. So let's keep moving here. A grandma wins the Latin Grammy for Best New Artist at the age of 95. So, hey, don't let age I guess check that out. Don't let age tell you can't do something. So, let's check something. The donut. Joe. Donut Legion. There it is. Okay. Joe Lansdale. I just want to see this, see what it's about. I'll put it on pre-order now, and I'll take a look at it later because I'm doing a show right now. But let me just do this. Cancel. Back. Boom. Sorry, this is just a note I made earlier. Save for later. Boom. Okay, there we go. All right, I'll check it out later. Anywho, so that's good. So don't let anybody tell you that you're too old to follow your dreams. A 95-year-old is now a Grammy Award winner. So good on that. Joseph Quinn, who opened eyes with his Eddie Munson character from Stranger Things Season 4, has opened enough eyes in Hollywood that he has been cast as the male lead opposite Lupita Nyong'o in the Quiet Place prequel, the action alien invasion sort of thing. So that's going to be a big film for him. So that's good on him. Originally, there was a movie, Bruce Almighty, that Tom Shadyac directed. He directed Jim Carrey in both Liar Liar and Ace Ventura, the original one. And he and did him again in Bruce Almighty, which is about a guy who is overwhelmed with his job and ends up, screaming at God, and God comes down, played by Morgan Freeman, and says, "Do you realize all the stuff that I have to deal with?" And gives him God's powers. Like, you're God now. Let me take a vacation. You can see how hard it is to be God. And he's a pompous ass, Bruce is, but then he learns a lesson when he has complete power, what he needs to do. Co-stars Jennifer Aniston, Steve Carell, stuff like that. But there was a sequel that came out called Evan Almighty, which followed Steve Carell's character as he became a new Noah when he was told by Morgan Freeman's God that a flood is coming to wash away Washington, D.C., and to build a ark and to have the animals show up. Didn't do as well as Bruce Almighty did, but it had its sequel. Now, originally, there was supposed to be a different sequel to Bruce Almighty. So we had God giving him the power in this one. The sequel had the devil coming up and giving him his power. And that would have been an interesting take to see how things go. But I guess in the end, it would totally reverse what he learned by having the power of God, and then to be given the power of Satan again and have to go through the same thing again and learn his lesson. So like that, it just seems repetitive, and that's why they never did it. But it's still, if done properly, maybe you could have done something with it, but we'll see. Percy Jackson and the Olympians TV series is starting to enter their end game. They still are not going to be done filming till about January or February of this year. or rather next year, I should say 2023. I think it's January 2023. They're scheduled to finish filming the TV series for Disney Plus, which I still believe will be debuting next fall because Rick Riordan, who is the creator of Percy Jackson, has a new Percy Jackson book coming out next fall. So it makes sense to have a new Percy Jackson book come out when your TV show comes out as well. But they are reaching the end point of their series. They're in the latter half of the novel now. So they're rocketing towards the finale. Still got a lot of story left, but they've already covered the majority of the beginning stuff. So now you've got the last few set pieces you've got to deal with here in the finale. And one of those includes a trip down to Hades, and they've cast Hades. Jay Duplass has been cast as Hades, and Timothy Amundsen has been cast as Hephaestus. So he makes an appearance at the end of the movie. So that makes sense to have them get cast and ready to rock and roll. Now, Olivia Wilde is a female director who I protected a few weeks ago when people were screaming about the movie that she was making and saying how horrible it was, and her battle with Florence Pugh and blah, 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 and her leaving Ted Lasso for Harry Styles. And this point, there were people who were saying, still protecting Harry Styles and hating on Olivia Wilde. But Harry Styles knew what he was getting into. He knew that Olivia Wilde was married, and yet he helped her cheat on her husband. So they were together for 2 years, apparently, and now they are not together anymore. So now I'm seeing all stuff like Harry is free. Yay. He's no under that bitch's power, whatever. It's just, again, it takes two to tango. Olivia Wilde did not come in there and, force him to have an affair and stay with her for 2 years. She's, liked him, and apparently he liked her enough that he was willing to be the other person in a relationship. Because at the time when they started, fooling around, she was still married. And then it all came out and they got divorced. And then it was okay to hang out. But he still cheated with her. They're both in the fault a little bit right there, but Harry Styles is not innocent in this, and it just drives me bonkers. All these people who are saying, "Oh, thank God Harry's fine," all that stuff. No, he was a willing participant in it. He was not held hostage, unless it was by Olivia Wilde's sexy, seductive self that he was enamored with. No, so get off your Harry Styles bandwagon. He's just as bad as Olivia Wilde is when it came to that relationship. And now they're broken up, and, that's what happens. It was intense passion. And then all of a sudden you're sort of like, oh, okay, well, I'm done with you. So let's move on. So just still angers me about that type of stuff. Belgian monks have reopened a medieval microbrewery, so it gives them something else to do while they're not, praying to God and reading scripture and stuff like that. So good on that. The Goonies house is up for sale for $1.65 million in Oregon. It's the house that I believe just the exteriors were used for the film. I don't think they used the interiors for the film. They might have. I don't know. But it was $1.65 million. The ABC drama Avalon, that was going to star Neve Campbell, has already been dropped before they've even started filming it, which is kind of weird. You set up Avalon, you get the pre-production rolling, you cast it, and then all of a sudden you say, no, I'm not going to do that. It doesn't make a lot of sense to me. But luckily, there might be some streaming services that are going to take it over and give Neve Campbell a chance to get back into regular television again. The Walking Dead series finale, after 11 years, is coming to an end on Sunday, today, actually. I stopped watching Walking Dead somewhere around the 6th season, I guess. It was right around the time when Negan was introduced, and it wasn't because of Negan. I thought they did a really good job with Negan and stuff like that. And we watched the first half of the Negan series, but things were just going absolutely bonkers with the Negan stuff. And life, got in the way, and we just never got around to catching up on it again, and I didn't care. It was fine. And, we used to talk about review Walking Dead all the time, but that was starting to slip away also. So there really was no reason to keep watching it. But it's always interesting to reminisce about it. The series finale is this weekend on later tonight. So the last episode of Walking Dead is going to air tonight. Not that it's a big deal because you have a ton of spinoffs already. You've got Norman Reedus doing his spinoff. You've got Laurie Cohen and Negan doing their spinoff. Jeffrey Dean Morgan, doing their spinoff. You've got Fear the Walking Dead. You've got other spinoffs coming down. You got all kinds of stuff. So it ain't going anywhere, and it's not a huge deal. If they didn't have all these spinoffs, maybe it'd be a bigger deal. But the Rick and Michonne stuff is coming too. So one series ends and 5 more take its place. So, but good on that for your 11 years. The World Cup starts this week. I think it started this weekend, actually. Which, if you're a soccer, or as they say over there, a football fan, is actually huge. I could care less. I'm not any of that stuff. I could care less about World Cup BS. And the way Qatar got the World Cup games is absolutely blasphemous, really, with FIFA just fucking everything up. So Qatar being Qatar, 2 days before the games are going to kick off, they have banned all beer at World Cup matches because I guess it's against the religious beliefs of the Qatar people, which is fine. I have no problem with that. You can still get non-alcoholic beer, but I just find it odd that 2 days before, you weren't going to give them any leeway. You were up to that point going to give fans who are coming to Qatar to watch their country play. You were going to hopefully give them a chance to just say, okay, we'll just relax our religious stuff like that. No, you had to come out and say, no, you don't get any beer, so fuck you. I'm still just kind of upset because the way Qatar got it just is really hinky and messed up. One thing the DC not really cinematic universe, but their universe that does really well is they do animated movies really well. And their newest one has a trailer came out this week, The Legion of Superheroes, which is a great team, great idea for a movie, as due out on February 7th, 2023. So the first trailer for that came out, and Legion of Superheroes is such a great group, and it's a good character. So I'm finally glad that they were able to get that. I think I mentioned this at the beginning of the show, but we got snow flurries up here in Reisterstown on Friday. So our first bit of snow, nothing major, just some snow flurries. I got to see some big chunks of snow, and some snow hit my car while I was driving. But other than that, nothing laid. It all melted eventually, but we did get our first snow of the season. So Bon Iver. That's more lines for the first day of winter, but that's okay because it means good winter, dumbass. Jenna Ortega, who is playing Wednesday in the Netflix series and also was a part of the new Scream saga and is in the new Scream movie coming out next year at this time, is rumored to be cast as the character, the White Tiger, in the Daredevil Born Again TV series. It's going to be on Disney+. No official word has been announced, but the rumor started spreading this week for whatever reason, I guess because Jenna Ortega is doing her interviews for Wednesday and things she's saying or whatever, but they believe that White Tiger will make an appearance in Daredevil Born Again and will be played by Jenna Ortega. So we'll see when that comes around, see if it's going to be the truth there. Willem Dafoe has a new movie coming out next year, March 10th, called Inside. He plays a burglar who breaks into a high-level penthouse and ends up getting trapped inside the penthouse. It's like a psychological sort of thriller sort of thing. So that's interesting about that. Gumdrop light up Christmas decorations are the new Christmas decorations for this year. They're look like gumdrops, different color gumdrops. They're not very big. They're about this big, and you line them up your walkway, and they're all different colors like gumdrops are, like blues and whites and greens and reds and pinks and yellows and stuff like that. So now you have these small little colored lights that you can line up across your walkway. So good on that for that. Just in time for for Thanksgiving, I did not know there was such a thing as autumn sangria. Summer sangria is one of my favorites, but there is an autumn sangria now. And it's just done the same way as summer sangria, except you use autumn fruits, apples, pears, cinnamon, Of course, white wine, stuff like that. Maybe some pear liqueur, stuff like that. But I heard that there's a autumn sangria, so try it out for your Thanksgiving meal if you want. Just in time for Christmas, Spam, of all people, is releasing Spam Figgy pudding. Now, it doesn't have Spam in it, I don't think, and I don't exactly know what figgy pudding is. Figgy pudding sounds like something that has figs in it, which is I think a fruit. So it doesn't make sense why Spam would be doing it. There it is, figgy pudding. Figgy pudding is a vague term used for a class of traditional Christmas dishes, usually forming sweet and savory cakes containing a sour, sweet, creamy layer of honey, fruits, and nuts. In later time, rum or other distilled alcohol became often added to enrich the fruitiness of the flavor. But Spam now has a figgy pudding, so I could not even tell you what that's going to be like. As again, does not have Spam in it, so I don't know why they're doing it, but okay. Lay's continues their bizarre flavored potato chips. This one now is deep dish pizza flavored potato chips is now out for your perusal. Just in time for Christmas, you can get Twinkie flavored candy canes. No, thank you. But yes, if you like Twinkies, you can now get Twinkie flavored candy canes. In news of the weird, a massive flock of sheep in China have been walking in a circle for 12 days straight. There's video of it, so it's not one of these like fake news stories or whatever, but there's a weird, bizarre sort of thing going on about that. I guess it deserves more of an investigation, but I could care less. I just wanted to say the headline because that's just weird. Not as many deaths as we had last weekend. We had a couple. Robert Clay, one of the actors in one of my favorite shows from the 60s, Hogan's Heroes, passed away at the age of 96. Nick Turner, Mighty Thunder, ruler of Hawkwind, which is a band, I guess, Britain band, pioneer of British space music, space rock, I should say, died at the age of 82. Keith Levere, a founding member of The Clash, died at the age of 65. That'll be the last one I do. I thought there was a woman or something like that passed away. Oh, yeah. John Aniston, Days of Our Lives staple, still on the show, I believe. And also, yes, he is that Aniston. He is the father of actress Jennifer Aniston. He passed away at the age of 89 this week. So make sure I didn't miss putting a D next to. It's Chernobyl. Okay, I remember that. Let me just make sure I'm not missing any other things before I hit the final one here. I thought there was someone else who died at the age of 65. Just give me a second here, and let me just make sure I didn't miss one of these. Oh, if I do, I'll find it, and I will let you know. I'm missing up here. Oh, yeah, there's Kimberly Hernan, Ghostbusters actress, Romancing the Stone actress. She was the blowjob ghost in Ghostbusters, the original one. She passed away at the age of 65. And finally, Mehran Karimi Nasseri, who was a gentleman who flew into Charles de Gaulle Airport in France and was not allowed to leave because the country he came from had a coup while he was in the air, and his passport was no longer legal. So he had to stay in the airport, and he stayed there for 18 years, I think. He was the basis for the Steven Spielberg movie, The Terminal, starring Tom Hanks. Story similar to this guy's. Mehran died in the airport this week. So that's all the death we have today. The Artemis 1 rocket, which was going to take us back to the moon, get us ready to go back to the moon, finally launched this week. So we got that going good. So outstanding on that job, NASA. Netflix is announced a Gamera rebirth project, which means Gamera will be coming back to Netflix. Told my son that he was less than enthusiastic about it. He likes Godzilla and kaiju, stuff like that. He's never seen a Gamera. So when this comes on, maybe I can force him to watch it. He'll like it because I want to see a reboot of Gamera. James Wan and Jason Blum are going to merge their production companies and create one big powerhouse monster horror studio. So good on that for all of you. The new Scream movie directors have signed on to create a sequel to Escape from New York with Kurt Russell. So we'll see when that comes out. Mobile sports betting is going to launch in Maryland on November 23rd. I'm surprised that it hasn't launched until that point, but it is officially going to launch. So now instead of having to go to a casino to go place your bets now, or a wager place building or whatever, you can now do it straight from your phone right now. And also Maryland legalized cannabis during their recent election here. So hopefully we'll be for 21 years of age and older. So we'll see if that is eventually going to come through and get things going. Owen Wilson is to play a public TV painter named Carl Nargle. I thought it was the Bob guy, but it's not. It looks the way that Owen Wilson had looked. He looked like he was the Bob guy, but it wasn't. He's this other guy named Carl Nargle in a new film about the painter. Quentin Tarantino claims that he's going to be producing, directing, and writing an 8-episode streaming show that he's not giving any information about. He says he's going to do it next year. He didn't tell us what the story's about, not even just a little minor description of it, or when he's going to start working on it, or what streaming service has it. So, okay. Thanks, Quentin. David Harbour, who is got huge in Stranger Things, and then was in the Black Widow movie, is going to pull in Michael J. Fox, as my daughter said. This upcoming summer, they will be filming Stranger Things Season 5, the final season of Stranger Things, and the Thunderbolts movie that David Harbour is also in, simultaneously in Atlanta. So David Harbour is going to be bouncing back and forth between doing Stranger Things and then doing the Thunderbolts movie. So he'll be working on a movie and a TV show simultaneously this summer in Atlanta. Since they're both filming there, why not? Jupiter is the closest to Earth since 1963, and it will not be this close again for 107 years. So I will not be around to see the next one, but this one now is Jupiter is extraordinarily close to Earth right now. Jonah Hill is going to direct in his directorial debut Keanu Reeves in a film called Outcome. We have no idea what that story is about either, but we know that Keanu Reeves is in it and Jonah Hill's directing it. Pedro Pascal and Ben Mendelsohn are going to be joining the movie Freaky Tales from the Captain Marvel directors. Okay, those are trailers. That's a trailer. So let's see if anything else missing. Lionsgate will be adapting a Sega game called Streets of Rage from the John Wick writer, I guess, into a movie, I suppose. Channing Tatum will be starring in a red shirt spy thriller. Don't know what that's about, but he will be starring in it. Amazon is entering the superhero world. They made a deal with Sony, which is weird because I thought Sony had a deal with Netflix, but that's besides the point. But Amazon has ordered a TV series based on one of Sony's Spider-Man characters that they own, Silk, and a new series called Silk Spider Society. And it's going to be showrun by Angela Kang, who has been showrunning The Walking Dead the last 3 or 4 years now. So she is the one who is going to be doing that. And it's supposedly the first of many TV series based around the Spider-Man characters to show up on Amazon. More to come on that. Kaylee Sparing will be leading director Fede Alvarez's Alien movie. So there's going to be a new Alien movie as well as a new Alien TV show. Yes, that xenomorph alien. And Kaylee Sperry is going to be the lead actress in that. So I wonder if they're going to try for sort of a Prey thing and hope that, this Alien movie will do for the Alien movies what Prey is doing for the Predator movies. Ellen Pompeo, one of the original cast members of Grey's Anatomy, is leaving the show after 19 seasons. I can't believe Grey's Anatomy is still on 19 seasons later. It's been on longer than ER was, so that's crazy. So she's finally leaving, but she was one of the only main cast members from the original season that was still hanging on to the show. She's gone now. You can get a full-size teddy bear. Like I'm talking like a 6-foot tall teddy bear, but not the big, fat, fluffy teddy bear. This one looks like a person. It has arms and legs and a torso, but it has a teddy bear head. And you can get it now, and it can be your companion. You can dress it. You can sleep with it like you're sleeping with a man or a woman, I guess, if you want to go with it that way too. You can cuddle with it on the sofa. It is the weirdest thing I've ever seen, and it is totally true. Because why not? Mountain Dew Pitch Black, one of their best Mountain Dew flavors, will be coming back to shops for a limited time. Not online. Also, you can actually physically go to the grocery store, and other stuff will be coming out sometime in 2023, early 2023, I believe. So Mountain Dew Pitch Black will be back. I remember when it first came out, they sponsored the Ravens Sunday night game that my wife and I went to, and that was the introduction of the black uniforms that they wear for their primetime games. And I had bought one, I think, with Haloti Nada on it, and wore it to the game. And it was the blackout game. We beat the Browns, I believe. I think the highlight of that was, I think, Ed Reed. I guess it was Ed Reed, who was the return guy at the time, or did an interception that returned a kickoff or something like that, 107 yards for a touchdown, something like that. I remember that. That was crazy. So that was a good game. But yes, Pitch Black is back next year, only for a limited time, but it is back. Some new trailers for TV. We have a new season of Miracle Workers, which, for those who don't know, that is Daniel Radcliffe's TV show, where the same cast plays different characters set in different time frames. It's similar to the what is that? The Mr. Bean. It's not the Mr. Bean. Is his name of the character? But God damn it, I can't remember that. My mind, as I said, it's 112. So let me just Mr. Bean. Rowan Atkinson's. Let me just get Rowan Atkinson's TV shows. Black Adder, that's what it was. I found it before. But Black Adder was a British show that Rowan Atkinson headlined, where it was the same actors, and each season took place in a different time frame. So there was one that took place in Roman times. There's one that took place in World War I. There was one that took place in modern times, stuff like that. So Miracle Workers was their sort of American attempt to do something similar. It's been fairly successful. It's on TNT, I believe. Daniel Radcliffe, this is the 4th or 5th season for it. Steve Buscemi is involved with it as well. And the ones they've done so far, they did the Oregon Trail was one of the things they did last time. There was one where he was kind of a one of those Amadeus, sexual sort of kid genius sort of things. The first season, Daniel Radcliffe played an angel, and Steve Buscemi was God, and they had to try to save Earth from being destroyed by Steve Buscemi's God. So it's a different cast. It's the same cast, but they play different characters. So I didn't know there was going to be a new season of it, but there is. And the theme for this new season appears to be an apocalyptic season, again, with the silly humor and stuff like that. The first trailer before it came out starts off real serious, and then some goofy stuff happens. So it's our version of Black Adder, and Daniel Radcliffe is the star of it. The new Emancipation trailer came out this week from Antoine Fuqua and Will Smith. It's a slavery film, which is trying to be set up for Oscar consideration, but the fact that Will Smith has been banned from the Oscars for at least 10 years for slapping Chris Rock earlier this year. And because people are still kind of pissy about that, it looks like that despite the fact that he might deserve a Best Actor nomination for this role, he's probably not going to get it. And because he's connected to it, they might not nominate the movie at all. But it has that Oscar quality sort of stuff, sort of shot in black and white and grays. There's some color in it as well. And it is basically, it's a slavery film. It's basically about a black guy a black person, African-American, whatever you want to call him, who gets picked up and turned to a slave and then eventually escapes and joins the North Army and takes on the South during the Civil War. So hence the name Emancipation. And finally, not finally for the day, but finally for this page, the funniest trailer this week goes to a movie that I was not expecting to like, but when I saw the trailer, I was laughing out loud all the time. It's called 80 for Brady. And yes, it's about my nemesis, Tom Brady. But it stars 4 of the greatest actresses, comedic for most part, actresses of our time. Lily Tomlin, Jane Fonda, Rita Moreno, and Sally Field play 4 women who are living in New England, and they are obsessed with Tom Brady. One of them is actually obsessed with Gronk a lot and writes fan fiction about Gronk and like sexual fan fiction about Gronk, stuff like that. And they're big fans of it, and they love the show, they love the game, stuff like that. So they decide that they need to go see him play in the Super Bowl, but they don't have tickets. Tickets are like thousands of dollars, but they go on a road trip to try to meet Tom Brady and see him at the Super Bowl. And the adventures of them trying to get into the game is what the movie's about. It's freaking hilarious. The 4 actresses seem to mesh really, really well. It's outstanding, and I'm really excited for it. I want to see it. So we'll see what happens. All right, we're at 126. I got about a page and a half of stuff to go. So let's go down here. Some sad news. The University of Virginia had a gunman kill 3 members of the current Virginia football team. It turned out he was a former player. Don't know what caused him to kill these football players, but he has been arrested. Did not kill himself, so he has been arrested. So he will go on trial, stuff like that. But it's been kind of rough. The University of Virginia canceled their game for today in deference to them. And they have one more game, the rivalry game against Virginia Tech coming up, and they still might forfeit that one as well because they don't know if they're going to be able to recover. But I think that one they'll probably come out for and try to play their hardest for these 3 players who got murdered, because Virginia Tech is a huge rivalry game. And a lot of the teams in college football have put decals and stuff like that on their helmets or on their uniforms, which are, in solidarity with Virginia. And I think the Washington Commanders are going to have something similar on their helmets/jerseys for today's football game later today. So that was kind of sad. Bryce Dallas Howard is set to direct a remake of Escape from Witch Mountain. It makes sense because she's been getting a lot of good press for directing The Mandalorian and the Book of Boba Fett. And she's takes after her dad, Ron Howard. Apparently she's really, really good. And the episodes she's directed have been really, really good. And, and that could be the writing, but just the way the directing is clean. There's nothing too crazy outlandish about it. So it's fun and entertaining to watch. So I think this is just Disney saying they like what they see from her, but she's still a noob when it comes to film. So let's give her something easy to do, a reboot of a series of movies that already had a reboot with The Rock and Carla Gugino years ago. They did okay, but not outstanding. But they figured this is going to be safe. Give her a chance to get a film under her belt. It does success with them. Great. That's fantastic. But it gives her some experience like that. And if they like what they see, they might start throwing more stuff her way. So it's a good first step for Bryce Dallas Howard. And I hope it's successful for her. The WB continues to have all kinds of issues. They canceled their sequel to the 2020 animated Scooby-Doo movie, but much like they did, they canceled along with the Batgirl movie, but they told the directors to finish the film, despite the fact saying, finish the film, we're never going to air it. And that didn't make any sense to me or to the creators, but I think they did it anyway and just moved on with their lives. I thought about the end of The Walking Dead coming later today. Robert Kirkman, who's been having a contentious relationship with AMC for pretty much the whole 11 years that his creation has been on the show, on the channel, is suing them again for $200 million. I didn't really go into much detail about why he's suing them this time, but he had a court case with them, I think, years ago, and I think it got covered, but there's something else now that pissed him off, I guess, and is getting him to want to do this again. And again, there's always one. Oh, Christmas Story cast must have bought. I already did that one. Okay, good. I finally figured that one out. Timothée Chalamet is set to play Bob Dylan in a biopic, which is still a couple years out, but he's saying that the production is still going forward and he is cast as Bob Dylan. The world's first flying motorcycle is coming really soon. It's going to come before flying cars do. It's a little bit easier, I guess, to create a flying motorcycle than a car. And once they get, they can work out the kinks with that, then they'll be able to maybe move on to flying cars with that. Germany is giving 200 euros to teenagers to spend it on books, concerts, and theater, art, and stuff like that. Instead of just on video games and food and rent and stuff like that. It gives you a chance to get yourself a little bit more into the arts and stuff like that. So that's good on that. I think it's something that should be pretty good. The Princess Diaries with the gorgeous Anne Hathaway and the wonderful Julie Andrews has had 2 movies come out, and it's been a while since the second one came out. Had Chris Pine, one of his first appearances in film. But now there's rumors of a third Princess Diaries film is going to be in the works right now. I guess you want to get it, and I hate to say this, before Julie Andrews passed away because she's getting older up there, but she's still in good health and she still probably has a good 20 plus years in her life, but she's not getting any younger. So they want to probably do maybe one more Princess Diaries movie with her. And Anne Hathaway is now much older and would be much wiser and no longer the teen who became the Princess of Genovia, and then the sequel became the Queen of Genovia when she turned, I guess, 21 or whatever. So now we'll be able to get to see how she has been doing running Genovia now 20 plus years later in her 40s. Does she have a family, children? What's the story? So you kind of want to find out because unfortunately it's a shame Gary Marshall will not be able to direct since he passed away. But hopefully they'll be able to get a good director who knows and stuff. Get Hector Elizondo. Did he pass away? I don't think so. Did Hector Elizondo die? I hope not. I don't think he did. Let's find out though. Hector Elizondo. Nope, he's still alive. Okay, so he's 85 years old. So you'll be able to, you don't want to get him in there as well. So that's good. So we'll see how that goes. So I'm interested about that. You can now get a stuffed ranch dressing, like mascot sort of thing that you can hang on your Christmas tree or just have fun as a stuffed animal sort of thing now. Denver Broncos linebacker is going to sue the NFL, the San Diego Chargers, and ESPN. I don't know why he's suing ESPN, but I can understand the other two, over his season-ending ACL tear because he believes that the field, I guess, of the Chargers stadium in Los Angeles is like a turf, and it's plays havoc with players' arms and legs and injuries, stuff like that. He wants to sue them, I guess, to maybe change their field from turf to grass, or a bit of both, but to make it easier so that these injuries don't happen. It has been happening a lot lately that a lot of these players whose whole livelihoods depend on their ability to play, and when they have these season-ending injuries, they have to get surgery, and then they got to go through rehab and stuff like that. A lot of times they are never the same as they are, and his career could start going downhill, and he's going to lose all that money. Now, if he never tore his ACL and he kept playing at a high level, he could become an upper echelon linebacker and make billions of dollars. So I can understand where that's coming from, and we'll see how that plays about. Going from football to baseball, the baseball had their end of the year awards given out. Brandon Hyde, the Orioles manager who took a 110-loss team into playoff contention into the last week of the season and gave them an over 500 record, came in second in the AL Manager of the Year awards. Terry Francona, the manager of the Cleveland Guardians, took over as first place. I guess they made the playoffs. And it was one of the youngest teams in baseball. He was able to take all these young kids forward. So it's a shame Brandon Hyde did not get it, but he did come in second. And that seems to be our trend because Ashley Rutschman, who was our stud catcher who came up around May of this year and played enough games to be in contention for a Rookie of the Year, came in second also. So maybe if they would have brought him up sooner, maybe he would have won if he would have kept playing at a high level. But you got to remember that the first 2 or 3 weeks of his coming up to the majors, he was awful. He was horrible. It looked like he wasn't ready for prime time. And then something just clicked for him and he just took off. So we'll see. He won't be able to win Rookie of the Year anymore, but he might be able to be an MVP candidate next year if he keeps playing at a high level. So kind of sucks, but oh well. Lionsgate wants Kevin Smith to make a sequel to his religious horror film Red State. I don't quite know what you would do with the sequel for that, but okay, go for it. A couple officially gets married at a Miami Dolphins tailgate. It was an official thing at last week's Miami Dolphins home game. I guess they're huge Miami Dolphins fans, and they wanted to get married where they met maybe and with all their friends in the tailgate, and they officially were married. They wore wedding gowns and tuxedos and stuff like that, and it was a huge gathering. Everybody loved it, so congratulations to them. Magic Mike's Last Dance, the third Magic Mike movie, is released a trailer this week, coming out next year. Channing Tatum reprising his role, and Salma Hayek coming in the film as well. Speaking of Salma Hayek, she voices a character in the new Puss in Boots trailer with Antonio Banderas' Puss in Boots from the Shrek universe. So that's coming out, I believe, in December. Yellowstone 1923 trailer starring Harrison Ford and Helen Mirren debuted this week as well. War of the Worlds video survival game has been announced, so there will be a War of the Worlds sort of survival video game, which is kind of an interesting idea to survive an alien invasion sort of thing in a video game. It's kind of cool. Also in video games, we have, where is that? Civilization 6 is getting a season pass that will allow you to unlock 18 new playable leaders, including Abraham Lincoln. So that's pretty cool for fans who like Civilization. My brother-in-law does. So my brother-in-law, he loves Thanksgiving. It's his favorite meal of the year. And Stovetop, the stuffing company, has created stuffing pants, which are pants that have extra long and wide pockets that you can put leftovers in. Sure, in your pockets. Rare elephant twins were born in a Syracuse zoo. No one ever really expected to see elephant twins. I don't think I've ever seen elephant twins. I don't know if anybody's ever seen elephant twins, but now they were born in Syracuse. Speaking of elephants, an elephant stops traffic over, I guess, Thailand or whatever, so he can steal sugar cane from a truck that was carrying it on that same road. Jay Leno suffered a serious medical emergency. He was burned badly while working on one of his many cars. We wish him health, and hopefully he comes back soon and healthy. Empire of Light trailer, Sam Mendes' new film. Last film he did was 1917, which was outstanding. This one is set inside a movie house, so we'll see how good. The trailer looks a little bit all over the place for me. I thought, Sam Mendes movie about movie house might be interesting, but then I started watching the trailer a bit more. Is like, I don't know if this is up my cup of tea, so I might pass on this, but we'll see. I'm not going to see the movie theaters, but I might see it someplace else. Disney's newest roller coaster may be able to jump off the track. It's like, are you freaking insane? The picture they have is the roller coaster goes up to a certain point, the track goes to a point, then there's a space, and then the track continues. So I guess momentum can carry you. So I guess you're going really, really fast, and then you shoot off of the track, and it should line up and hit you to the other track, and you can keep going. I don't know if I would ever ride that. I don't like roller coasters to begin with, but to jump a track, no. In Japan, Nintendo Japan, if you are rude to them, they can refuse to repair anything that you bring in. So if you come into a Nintendo Japan repair shop and are a dick to the people working there, they can say, fuck you, we're not going to fix your Nintendo stuff, so go away. They have the right to do that now. I mean, you have the right to do that now, I guess, but I guess, it's an actual rule, a law that passed, so you can do that. Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield have teamed up to sell edible gummy cannabis ears. Now, remember when Mike Tyson and Evander Holyfield were in their prime, they fought each other numerous times. And one time, Mike Tyson bit a bit of his ear off in the middle of the fight. And now they're working together to sell edible cannabis gummies shaped like ears. Outstanding. Texas is just as stupid as Florida. A Texas homeowner says that hooker ghosts have taken over her rental property and are causing people to not want to rent her property because they're being hooker ghosts. Cosmic tubing is the newest craze out of Mount Hood, which basically is you go and you tube at night, and the tubing track is lit up with all kinds of lights, and there's all kinds of lights like that. It's like the space bowling you go to now, where the bowling alley is lit up, entirely with all kinds of lights, and it's a dark room, and you just, you can barely see stuff with a bump in music and stuff like that. So they decided to do that with tubing. So good for them. Creme brulee sugar cookies are your new obsession this holiday. Could be good, I guess. Could be interesting tasting. We'll see about that. Last week, I mentioned that Disney Plus is planning on doing an Indiana Jones TV show after the 5th movie comes out next summer. But nobody really knew, because they just announced it was going to be an Indiana Jones type of show based in the Indiana Jones world, I guess. We didn't know if it was going to be like a young Indiana Jones series, or if it was going to take place after the Indiana Jones stuff with, connections that Indiana Jones had, whatever. Well, now we know in the original movie, Karen Allen plays Indy's love interest. What's her name again? I forget. My cousin Jenny used to play her all the time. Anyway, her father was Abner Ravenwood, who was one of Indiana Jones's mentors. We're going to be following Abner in his younger days in this TV show. So it'll be a prequel to the Indiana Jones stuff, and it'll be, show how Abner trained. It won't be showing him, but it'll show how Indiana Jones, became who he was because his mentor is going to be probably very similar to him. We're probably not going to see young Indiana Jones being mentored, but the Indiana Jones we see in the movies, he acts like that because he was mentored by Abner. So I think that's going to be what the show's about, is him, doing Indiana Jones, but it's going to be Abner. It's going to take place before the Indiana Jones movies. So that means we're going to be looking in the 1920s. So that could be a interesting take on things. So we'll see how that works out. Margot Robbie's Pirates of the Caribbean reboot has been shelved, so she will not be doing that. I gave you my review of Black Panther 2. Black Panther 2 made $180 million domestically, and worldwide it made $330 million. It was the second highest grossing movie of the year, and it surpassed Black Adam's entire run in one weekend. So good on that. Marvel still kicks DC's ass, despite the DC fan base screaming and yelling how Marvel is dying. Yeah, no. John Wick Chapter 4, new trailer popped up this week. More John Wick, more Keanu Reeves kicking ass, more action, more neon, more crazy stuff. So, there you go. Cinnabon has a red velvet cake and chocolate chip brownie thing going on too. So you can get that version of that. I did do him already, so mark that off. Netflix is eyeing the Barbie director of the Barbie movie to reboot the Chronicles of Narnia, which would be great if they can just do all the Narnia movies. Now, the first one was really, really good. I never really saw Prince Caspian or the one about the boat. So I didn't really see any of the other ones, but it'd be neat to see all of the Narnia books. There's only like 7 of them come to life on maybe a Netflix, whatever. And if they can get this director who's directed that Little Women, the Little Women update with Florence Pugh, and now this Barbie movie with Margot Robbie and Ryan Gosling, could be interesting if it works. Frogs at Chernobyl appear to be evolving. They have gone from being green skin to like brown skin, and they are thriving. So they feel that when Chernobyl happened, it was a massive extinction event, but it also clicked on the evolution for the frogs. In order for them to survive in that area, they needed to evolve to live in that high radiation area. So they believe that their DNA or whatever said, okay, time for the next evolution, guys, and click the switch. And now over the last, it was like 86, 96, 2006, 2016, 36 years, they have evolved now into I guess you could say maybe a new species of frog. It's still the same old frog, but it is evolved to the next level so that it is able to survive in Chernobyl. So that's kind of interesting little side note. Baby born on 11/11 a.m. on November 11th, 2011, turned 11 this week. So a lot of 11s there. That's the only time that will be news. 2 more stories, and then we can get out of here. This is a kind of a surprise, but now I kind of know what they're doing. I'm a Fortnite fan. The new season of Fortnite, which should have been Chapter 3, Season 5, is due to hit December 4th. However, it has been revealed that is not going to happen. Instead, they're going to end Chapter 3 and start over with Chapter 4, Season 1, with a brand new map, brand new points of interest, brand new characters, which honestly I'm okay with. 4 seasons. I wish it would go a little longer because the first season of Fortnite, or the first chapter of Fortnite, lasted 10 seasons. The second chapter of Fortnite lasted 8 seasons. I wish that would have gone a little extra. But again, I can understand where it comes to the story aspect that they're trying to do. I can understand why that was the case. And then the season 3 one is sort of similar thing. They had a small storyline, underlying storyline, but they're reaching the crescendo for that. So they're going to need to do the next level storylines. So that's why you're going to go to a Chapter 4, Season 1, starting in early December. So kind of excited about that because honestly, this Chapter 3 this year in Fortnite has been extraordinarily boring. The Christmas event was really cool. The summer event was a yawner. The Halloween event was a yawner. And we'll have the new Christmas event in this chapter 4, season 1. So we'll see how that works out. And the story is just kind of boring, and the map itself is very boring as well. And there's not a lot of excitement going on. So it was kind of a chore to get through these 4 seasons of this chapter. So hopefully we'll have brand new everything, and it'll give a little shot in the arm to the game. So we'll see if that happens. It's not a dying game, but I just wish they would do more stuff because I was getting bored with the game right now. So glad it's kind of happening. So what I've been hearing through the grapevine is that Epic is going to be doing this more often. So most chapters now are only going to last like 4 seasons, since you got a winter, spring, summer, and fall seasons and stuff like that. And then you move on to the next storyline. And finally, the last story for today, in an extra long episode of Dylan Knows. A man gets diarrhea on roller coaster, splashes 14 people. That's all I have to say about that. You can make your own assumptions on that. And we are done. Next week's episode 475 is our long Thanksgiving weekend episode. So it'll probably be done on the Saturday after Black Friday. So the episode might not be as long as this one is. It's almost 2 hours long. There might not be a lot of stuff going on because of Thanksgiving, but we'll see. And maybe I'll be able to give you my first review of a couple episodes of Wednesday. Comes out on Wednesday, and we'll see what else is going on. So at this point, I am done. Don't miss my conversation with myself, episode 2. I'll post that tomorrow, where I talk about my love of Thanksgiving. It was an hour and a half, so that's kind of good. So here we are with an hour, 50 minutes, and I'm finally done. So I'm on my way out. Happy Thanksgiving. Have a safe and happy Thanksgiving. Be safe out there. Don't drive drunk. Don't be stupid. Enjoy a time with your family. If it's a hard time with your family, either suck it up and just realize it's only one day, and you don't have to worry about it anymore till Christmas, or just say fuck you and say I'm not coming to Thanksgiving this year. So it's up to you to enjoy yourself, but that's the most important part. Enjoy yourself. Be thankful. Have a good Thanksgiving weekend. If you're working, bless you for Black Friday. If you're off all weekend, be kind to those working on Black Friday. It's just, they don't want to be there, and there's no reason to be a dick about it. Okay. Happy Thanksgiving, y'all. I'll see you after Thanksgiving next week. Bye.